I've been enjoying watching season 5 of Stranger Things, and LEGO has just announced a new LEGO set. For the first time in 6 years, we are getting a Stranger Things LEGO set with minifigs. It is the Creel House. It is releasing on January 1st. Now, in this video, we are going to react to this announcement. We're going to go through the images. We're going to break down some of the interesting building techniques, the features of the set. And we're also going to ask about, is this really the best location for a LEGO set? Are we getting an exclusive gift with purchase? Are these minifigs really any good? There's a lot of controversy around those. So we're going to break all of that down in this video. Let's dive in. This set has just under 2,600 pieces, 13 minifigs, and will retail for $300 US, 280 euro, or 250 British pounds. It is pretty large, as the house measures 36 studs wide. That's actually longer than a typical modular building, so if you're wondering if it's really all that big, yes, it is pretty big. In addition to the house, there are 2 trees flanking it, the Squawk van and Steve's Beamer. So let's take a look now at the house. I really like Victorian architecture, and this set definitely shows off a lot of the angles and the roof peaks and a lot of elements of an architecturally detailed Victorian house. The dark blue pops out because it's a very strong color, and the white trim really helps with that. The angled section on the right-hand side is excellent, and notice that the windows all line up with the source material. They even got the correct number of dormers, there are steps leading up to the porch, and there are lots of architectural flourishes that you would expect to see in a Victorian house. There are also a lot of sneakily strong building techniques sprinkled throughout the exterior here. The set designer, I believe, is Mike Sayaki, who's one of the legendary set designers, and you can see some of his handiwork in this design. Notice the columns on the porch are brick built. They use candle pieces, 1x1 round plates with holes, and then there are cones placed upside down. Also on the right hand side, this angle for the exterior wall uses some very interesting snot work. Note that we have the triangle pieces that set the edge, and look, even down at the foundation, you can see that there is some snot work going on there. I really appreciate the use of the kite-shaped tiles that are used above the windows. I think those look great. And there is some interesting snot work, or studs not on top, on the left-hand side with the second floor, where you can see that there are brackets placed facing down. So the designer, Mike Sayaki, could have just gone with a typical building technique there, but chose not to. There are a bunch of different techniques that are used to build the various roof peaks, which promises to keep the build engaging, and this reduces repetition. Of course, one of the key features of the set is that when you pull the sides apart, you can reveal Vecta's multi-dimensional mind layer. And I think this actually adds complexity to the build. If you're designing a set like this, you have to keep in mind not just the facade, not just the interior details, but also how that whole mechanism is going to work. Now, the pros of this is that it really does, I think, show off what's happening with the Creel House in seasons 4 and 5 of Stranger Things. But the drawback is that it requires a lot of extra pieces and complicates the process a bit, whereas they could have kept things simpler, maybe using fewer pieces, thus reducing the price. So there's definitely a trade-off in terms of how much detail you want to include with this particular set. There are also a lot of exposed studs. If you take off the wood panels to have just a clean Victorian house, I don't think you're going to like it all that much with the way that the windows are set up, as well as all the snot pieces that are going to be exposed when you take those tiles off. Also, there are a lot of exposed studs along the white trim where the brackets are used, which I'm not a huge fan of. I wish maybe they put some 1x1 tiles in there to make it look more finished, but that's my personal preference. So now that we've taken a look at the exterior of the building, what about the interior? Well, there is the entryway, a dining room to the right of that, and that has a table and some chairs. You'll notice that it looks like Lucas and Max are enjoying some food there, perhaps a spoiler for season 5. The other side features a living room with a tan couch. It looks like it uses a lot of parts as Mike is sitting there perhaps waiting for somebody to enter. The second level features a hallway that has a wallpaper sticker, but it's on a rotating wall. So if you turn that 4x4 plate at the base where Mr. Whatsit is standing, you're going to see the clock appear that is prominent feature of season 4. To the right of that is Alice's room, which is from season 5, and it's complete with a bed, some toys, a mirror, and some wallpaper. I will add that these last two features are produced using stickers. The other side of the hallway contains Henry's room that has a bed that's angled to match the exterior wall. Looks like it has some sort of a nightstand with a lamp, and then it has a chest. Above Henry's room is an attic space that has spiders, which recalls some scenes from season 4 of Stranger Things. And on the other side of that is an attic space where it looks like Lego shows you how you can reenact the end of season 4, where Lucas and Max are setting their trap for Vecna. So there definitely are a lot of Easter eggs in the interior of this set, certainly from seasons 4 and 5. I'm not going to go through all of them here. I'm going to wait till I get my hands on the set, but I think you could probably find out maybe some spoilers if you take a deep dive into the interior photos here of this set. The Creel House does come with a couple of mini builds that I want to discuss, some of which are good. Well, one of which is good, and the others I'm not a big fan of. We'll start with the Squawk van that I think is actually really good. I think the color is good, the dimensions are strong, even the sticker work, I'm not a huge fan of having to apply multiple stickers in order to get things to line up, so that's one negative of this, but all in all, I think it looks really nice, and I like that you've got the transistor on it, that you can move from the Squawk van to Steve's Beamer. Of course, the Beamer itself, I'm not a fan of. I think the proportions are wonky. I think that the curvature isn't quite right. There's no real back seat, which of course is a big part of them traveling in the first part of season 5 in Steve's car. I'm not a big fan of that. And I'm also not a fan of the trees. They're too spindly, they're tall, but they're just very, very lacking in foliage, which doesn't really represent the source material all that well. I think Lego has a very, very mixed record when it comes to important trees. And these definitely, it looks like they snap in half, so that's going to be something that could be noteworthy in terms of a play feature. But honestly, you compare these, and to me, they're closer to the party tree that was an absolute failure for the Shire set than what I think are the pristine trees in Rivendell. So it's a bit of a miss for me when it comes to those trees. The minifigs are also hit and miss. I've seen a lot of people comment about the minifigs and not liking them, but definitely controversial. So I'm going to walk through the 13 minifigs, which ones I like and which ones I think come short of being excellent. I will note that the 2019 set, the Upside Down that came out, was not just a classic because it's rated a 4.5 out of 5 on Brickset.com, but I think that's aided by the high quality minifigs that we got in that set. If you look back at those minifigs, you'll note that they're almost entirely perfect, like spot on. These, not so much. You get 13 minifigs overall, which features a lot of the main characters, minus Hopper and Joyce. We'll talk more about that in just a moment. Vecna has some great printing details, but I think he's too short. I think he needs to have the small legs, if I'm being honest, and I know that some fans might not like that if he did have those taller legs, but I think they are appropriate here given how tall the character is in season 5. Elle looks great. The hairpiece is spot on, the dual molded legs are perfect, and the gray hoodie, I think it's great. She's a 10 out of 10 minifig. Max, on the other hand, is just not quite right. I don't think it's a terrible minifig, but it definitely falls a bit short. I think the outfit is good. I like the blue jeans with her olive green jacket, provides a little bit of that drabness. Her hair, though, isn't curly enough. And I think that's maybe the problem that I'm having with her minifig and another one that I'll talk about in just a moment. Mike is okay. I think the coat works, the hairpiece is pretty good, but I definitely think his face needs to have a little bit more lines printed on it to make it look angular to fit who he is as a character. Lucas is, I think, a very strong minifig. He's got a great squawk torso and his flat top hair is excellent. So I think this one is definitely a hit for me. But Will is maybe another miss. I really like the double-sided face print. That's my favorite part of this, especially the angry side that has those glassy looking eyes that show off this huge transition he has in episode 4 of season 5. But I think his hair needs to be more of a bowl cut. Like, he's missing that, I think, quintessential Will feature with his hair, and I think that's what Lego could have improved upon here. Dustin is nearly excellent. I love the dual molded hair and hat combo. The Hellfire Club t-shirt is great, although I know fans are going to note that it should be ripped and that would make it more accurate. I also am going to note that he needs to have, if you want him to be accurate, he has to have some wounds on his face from when he gets beat up early in season 5, but I don't know, maybe he has that on his double-sided face if he has one of those. Robin is also a pretty strong minifig because she has shorter hair, she has the black jacket, the blue jeans. I think those are a great combination. I also really appreciate the headphones that she can use when she is being a DJ at Squawk Radio. Then we come to Steve, who honestly, I don't know, maybe the worst minifig here. He looks like he's 40 years old. I appreciate the effort that LEGO put in with the hairpiece, but honestly, I think he looks more like a cartoon caricature of himself than the actual Steve Harrington, which is a shame. Jonathan is better. I think he's sufficiently surly, and his hairpiece is shaggy enough that it fits the character. I think that LEGO's done a really nice job with the colored patterns on his shirt, which I didn't notice in the show, but when you take a look at some of the images from season 5, you notice that. So I think LEGO did a nice job here. But Nancy is another miss. I think the hairpiece just has to be a lot curlier, and I think they got the wrong shade of brown for her hairpiece. Although I will note her hair, I think, is definitely darkened over the seasons. Her face print, though, is another thing that needs to be improved. There needs to be more lines similar to what they should have done with Mike, because she has that very narrow face. So there's something about the Wheeler kids that they got incorrect with Nancy and Mike, but Alice is excellent. She's got that 50s era dress, a wonderful torso print, and her hair is fantastic. I don't know if that is a new hairpiece, actually. It might be something that we've seen in the past, maybe for like an Alice in Wonderland style minifig, but I really, really like that. And I also think that Mr. Whatsit is very good. I enjoy the dark orange suit. The vest and tie combination really cuts through. The printed glasses on his face piece and the top hat all work really well. So all told, I think there's definitely some good minifigs here, and there's some that fail to meet what some of my expectations would be. And I think part of this is a disappointment because of how excellent the minifigs were in the 2019 set. But I do think it's harder maybe to get some of these minifigs right, given the source material that LEGO was given. I will acknowledge that LEGO oftentimes is given the materials well in advance before the show comes out, and there could be edits made to characters that LEGO doesn't get in the concept art. So perhaps there's something there that kind of set things off a little bit, but I do think, yeah, I think that some of these minifigs could have been better executed. I think one of the biggest omissions from this is a Demogorgon. I really enjoy the one that we have in the Upside Down. I don't have that set, but I love that Demogorgon minifig. I want one of those. It's definitely one of my White Whale sets. Not getting any Demogorgons here for season 5, especially given that season 5 has so many Demogorgons in them, I think that's a bit of a miss as well. Of course, we'll talk more about Hopper and Joyce when we talk about the exclusive gift with purchase that comes with this set early in its release window. So if you order this on day 1 or buy it on day 1, January 1st, 2026, you will get a Squawk radio station diorama. And I think this is an excellent gift with purchase in the sense of it's better than the set, honestly. It might actually be a superior set than the Creel House, which is kind of odd to say because I really like the sitting room. There's a lot of detail in it. It's not a super complex build, but it's got some nice features. The on-air studio is really nice. It looks like they've got some good interior details there, which was missing from some other exclusive gifts with purchase, like the Simpsons living room. But of course, a lot of fans are going to be upset that you get Hopper and Joyce in the gift with purchase, which means that if you want to get 2 of the main characters from Stranger Things and you didn't get the Upside Down Buyer's House in 2019, which is really expensive on the secondary market, you're going to have to either buy the Creel House on day 1, probably week 1, as long as supplies last, and you're going to have to make sure you get the gift with purchase or buy the gift with purchase on the secondary market. And because this has some minifigs in it, and again, I'm not sure if all of the minifig pieces or any of them are exclusive, but because there are 2 minifigs that people are going to want, I can see the demand for this raising the price of the gift with purchase on the secondary market. So I think it's an excellent one. I actually really like the 1x2 printed tile that has the chicken on it. I think that's great. So I think there's a lot of really fun elements to this. But you're going to have to either shell out a lot on the secondary market for this, that's my prediction, or snag this set on day one, which I think is going to frustrate some fans. So what's the verdict when it comes to the set, and were there maybe some better options that LEGO could have chosen to do their next set? And I think that by and large, this is a set that a lot of Stranger Things fans are going to like. I think the Creel House is a pretty recognizable feature if you like the show, if you've watched season 4 and even parts of season 5. So that's the pro for this. It's not designed for general LEGO fans, honestly. I think you look at the price point, we'll talk more about that in a moment, but this is about Stranger Things. It's not giving you an incredible parts pack that people are going to want for a modular style building or to build their own Victorian house. And I say this because LEGO has put a lot of thought and resources in terms of piece and parts of the budget into the features that make this the Creel House from Stranger Things and not a Victorian style home. All those pieces, the wood planks, the splitting capability, the play feature there, the trees, like all those pieces are things that wouldn't be included necessarily in a generic Victorian house. And so that adds Easter eggs and adds character to the Stranger Things version. So I think a lot of those fans are going to like it, but the general LEGO fan probably is going to look at this and say like, well, if I'm not into Stranger Things, why would I get this? And I think that's fair. But I also think LEGO is doing this to bring people that have become Stranger Things fans into the LEGO hobby. I think they probably are identifying different themes, different licenses out there that they can probe. They can get some maybe new fans into LEGO, and Stranger Things Season 5 is definitely one of those. I also appreciate the fact that we are getting Stranger Things again. We didn't get anything between 2018, 2019, and today. So in terms of minifig style sets. So this is an improvement on getting nothing. Now, was this the best venue or location to choose? I don't think so. I would be happier. I think there are 2 locations that I would prefer to get. And it's not the mall, right, from season 3. I actually think the Hawkins lab is more iconic than the Creel House. It makes appearances in every single season. It's a key feature of the show, and I think a lot of fans would like to see some of those features, and maybe, a Bremer minifig or some of the other scientists that we've seen over the years. Maybe even the character, suddenly can't think of his name. Sean Astin plays the character in season 2. Apologies for drawing a blank on that. But that would have been a really good minifig to include in this one as well. I think another location that would actually be better than this would be the Wheeler House. There's so many things that you see in the Wheeler's house throughout the entire series that would be great for Easter eggs across the different seasons. And even season 5, you have a lot of iconic scenes in there, and it would be an opportunity to get Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler, who has not appeared in LEGO minifig form yet. So that would be a really good location. So I would actually place the Creel House 3rd on my list of locations for Stranger Things sets, since we already had the Upside Down and the Byers house. I think the Creel House is pretty good overall, and I think Stranger Things fans are going to like that. In terms of the price, this is where I think it's interesting because it's a $300 set, and I don't think it's a great price. The European price, €280, is I think better, and that could be due to tariffs and tariff uncertainty and things like that, that LEGO increased the price here in the United States. But I think that's a fairer price. I personally think that you could probably be very patient and wait to get this at a discount at some point, although I think by patient I mean maybe insiders like weekend in summer of 2027 or Black Friday 2027 and not 2026, but we'll see. That means you're going to have to really be patient and pay attention to when some of these sales might take place, so that way you can get this at maybe 10 or 20% off or something like that, which is a much, much better deal, like $240, $250 for that 2,600 pieces, the 13 minifigs. I think that's definitely a fairer price. As for us, yeah, we're probably going to be irrational and snag this on day one. I really want the gift with purchase, and I want to review that. It's one of those sets that I think is kind of interesting and unique, and I want to get my hands on it, review it, and put out some of that information for all of you in case you're interested in whether or not you want to pick that up. So it's definitely on the list of January 1st purchases. along with some other things. But we'll see as we get closer to January and everything is announced. So that is our reaction and breakdown of the new Stranger Things Creel House. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking this up or if you're even interested in Stranger Things Season 5. Thanks for watching, and always remember to keep building together.